Why emotionally unavailable people feel so exciting? Do you ever wonder that? There is one specific moment, usually before the age of 10, when your brain decided what love is supposed to feel like. And most people, most of us, spend the rest of our lives chasing that feeling without ever realizing it. In this video, I'm going to help you find yours, the reason why this is happening to you. But first, let me ask, did this ever happen to you? You meet someone, and within weeks, you are completely obsessed with them. The anticipation of receiving a text feels electric. Just thinking about them gives you this rush you cannot quite explain. But when you are actually with them, something feels slightly off. Like you don't know really if they're right there with you. And then there is someone else, another person who is kind, consistent, genuinely interested in you. And somehow you feel almost nothing. You may even feel suffocated by so much attention. Well, this is very weird, right? But let me tell you, you are not imagining things and you are not broken. What is happening inside your brain is a very specific and very predictable pattern. And this pattern started long before any of the relationships that you can think about right now. So by the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly when and where this pattern was installed in you and what it actually takes to stop it to running your love life. Stay with me, because part 3 is where everything clicks into place. Part 1, the dopamine trap. To understand why emotionally unavailable people feel so exciting, we need to start with dopamine. Yes, that chemical. Because almost everyone misunderstands what it actually does. Dopamine is not just the pleasure chemical. It is the anticipation chemical. It is not released when you get the reward. It is released when you are waiting for it, and especially when you do not know when it's coming or if it is coming. So researchers call this variable reward reinforcement. It is the same mechanism behind slot machines, in casinos. Here I would like to share a story. It's a personal story that happened to me that kept me wondering for a long time, and is actually part of this interest that I have in learning how relationships work, especially when we are interested in unavailable people. So this is a personal story. This is about my friend Paul. We met 2 years ago and we became friends, and very soon he became very interested in me. He started having romantic feelings toward me, and he was always available. He was always loving and attentive and respectful, and a lot of fun. And I couldn't really, I didn't feel the same way. So to make the story short, eventually he was visiting. I was in Argentina and he was coming from the US. He decided to go back home. And I remember when he was away and we have this conversation, because we kept seeing, communicating as friends. He told me that he was interested in other people, and that, he was having other interest. And I remember that when I heard that, even after I didn't find him interesting, after I heard that I realized, oh, he is no longer interested in me, I became interested in him overnight. Isn't that crazy? Well, yeah, it happened. So somehow I found him more attractive. And that happened like in a few hours. So that explained this pattern, that I will always chase the one who is not available, and the one who is available, I will find it boring. This story explains exactly that. Did you ever have this experience? Let me know. I would love to read about it. Leave it in the comments, please. Here's the part that nobody talks about. This is not random. Your brain did not accidentally develop this preference for unavailable people. For most people who find themselves in this pattern, it started very early, with a parent or caregiver who was inconsistent, not necessarily cruel, but sometimes warm, sometimes distracted, sometimes present, and sometimes completely withdrawn. Maybe they were dealing with their own pain. Maybe they were just not equipped to give you what you needed. And as a child, you did what every child does. You work harder to get their attention. You learn to read their moods before they even walk into the room. You became skilled at waiting and hoping and trying, because that was the only way to get the love that was available. And here is what that does to your nervous system. It teaches it that love is something you have to earn, that love comes with uncertainty, that love keeps you a little on edge. So fast forward in your 20s, your 30s, or your 40s, you meet someone who recreates that exact feeling. And your nervous system does not say danger, it says familiar, it says home. The emotionally unavailable person does not feel exciting because they are special. They feel exciting because they match the emotional blueprint you have been carrying since you were a child. And the available person feels wrong because they do not match your nervous system. This is not about your taste in partners. This is neuroscience, and it is not your fault. And here's where it gets really interesting and a little uncomfortable, because what you have been calling chemistry, what you have been calling passion and intensity and connection, it has a different name in neuroscience. And I'm going to show you exactly what it is right now. The feeling you have been calling chemistry, in neuroscience it is called a cortisol dopamine loop. And once you understand what that really means, you will never use the word chemistry the same way again. Here's what happens. When you are in an anxious relationship dynamic, waiting for a text, wondering where you stand, trying to decode their mixed signals, your body is running on low-grade chronic stress. Cortisol is elevated. Your nervous system is on high alert. And then they come back, they text, they show up warm again, and the relief you feel is enormous, disproportionately enormous, because you are not just feeling happy, you are feeling the release of all that accumulated tension at once. And that release gets confused with passion, with chemistry, with the feeling that this person is the one. But here's the truth. You are not falling in love with the person. You are falling in love with the relief. And I know this sounds shocking. This is why these relationships can feel more intense than any other that you have had before, even when there is very little actual intimacy. The intensity is not evidence of a deep connection. It is evidence of a nervous system that has been under stress and is finally getting a break. And this is why when someone genuinely calm and consistent shows up, it can feel almost unbearable at first, because your nervous system is so used to the cycle of tension and relief that calm just feels like nothing is happening. I promised you at the beginning that I would help you find the moment this was installed in you, and here it is. It was not one dramatic event. It was repetition. It was the slow accumulation of moments where love felt inconsistent and you adapted. You learned to work for it. You learned to wait for it. and your nervous system has been running that same program ever since. That is where the pattern lives, and that is exactly where it can be changed. So what do you actually do with this? The first thing, and I cannot say this enough, is to stop calling yourself someone who always attracts the wrong people. You are not magnetically drawn to unavailable people. You have a nervous system that learned a very specific lesson about love, and it is doing exactly what it was trained to do. That is not a flaw. That is a survival strategy that has outlived its usefulness. The second thing is to understand that changing this is not about trying harder or making better choices in the moment. By the time you are choosing, the pattern is already running. Change happens at a deeper level when your nervous system learns a new equation, one where safety feels like attraction, where consistency starts to feel like love instead of boredom. That is real work. It takes time and it takes the right support, but it is absolutely possible, and it changes everything. Not just your relationships, it changes the way you feel about yourself. You do not have to keep ending up in the same place with a different face. If this video landed for you, if you recognize yourself somewhere in it, I want you to know that this pattern is one of the most common things I work with, and it is one of the most transformative to change, not by trying harder in relationships, but by understanding what is driving them underneath. I work with people one-on-one to do exactly this kind of work. If you are curious, the link to book a free discovery call is in the description below. It is 30 minutes online, and there is no pressure and no pitch. Just a real conversation about what you are experiencing and whether working together makes sense for you. And if you are not ready for that, that is completely fine. Just subscribe, because every week I make videos like this one to help you understand what is actually happening inside you, so you can finally start making different choices from a different place. I will see you in the next one. Thank you.